I got the divorce papers via email in the middle of the Iraqi desert. 15 years of marriage ended by a single PDF file. At the exact same time, our joint bank account was drained. Then she sold Scout, the only loyal friend I had left. What actually brought me back wasn't the pain of divorce. It was a photo of her, smiling radiantly, as some random guy led my dog away. They figured I was just another dumb soldier, easy to fool. They had no idea I was fighting for 26 other service members who'd been betrayed just like me. And they definitely didn't know that my Marine Corps survival instinct had gathered enough evidence for the FBI to kick down the door at 6:42 a.m. I came back. Not just to get the money, but to bring Scout home and expose a massive serial fraud scheme they never saw coming. If you've ever been stabbed in the back while fighting for what's right, hit subscribe right now. Let's protect our troops and stand up for loyalty. Your action will help heal this wound. Comment, protect Scout to start this fight. That's how it all began. My name is Ethan Briggs, 38 years old, Staff Sergeant, Marine Corps, stationed in Al Anbar, Iraq. Been gone 7 months. I got that PDF. The subject line, let's respect each other's choices. Inside, 3 ice-cold sentences. I filed the papers. Court will send notice soon, it's done. Our joint money is gone. Scout is gone, don't ask. I read the email twice, rubbed my eyes, read it a third time. Outside, the first desert rain started tapping on the tin roof. A drop leaked through, hitting the laptop screen, smudging the words, Scout is gone. Every word felt like a physical cut. 15 years of marriage annihilated in 3 lines. 15 years of fighting for my country betrayed by a single sarcastic photo. I snapped the laptop shut, got up. The public shower stall smelled like bleach and stale sweat. I cranked the water freezing cold, trying to quench the fire inside me. Put the uniform on, Ramirez asked me to grab chow. I shook my head. Already ate. I sat out on the steps, lighting a smoke, staring out at the burned-out land on the horizon. My squad mates were calling home, laughing, showing photos of their kids, birthday cakes. I silently got up. No one to call. Nothing to share. I showed up for my shift 30 minutes early. Young guys got their shift swapped, eyes lit up like they won the lottery. I hid behind the steel door, avoiding the fluorescent lights. I just didn't want anyone to see my eyes. They were too tired to hide anything anymore. The wind wasn't cold, but I started feeling the chill deep inside my bones. But I knew that this freeze wasn't grief. It was preparation. And I'd been quietly getting ready for 6 months, even before I deployed. Back in my bunk, I opened the laptop, typed a single word. Roger. That's all I sent back. A silence more expensive than any argument. It was the only answer for her, for him, and for the shadows I hadn't even met yet. Honestly, I didn't think any other sentence was worth it. No fight, no begging, no threats. Ramirez handed me a water bottle. You good? I nodded. Just family stuff. He didn't ask again. In the field, you learn to understand each other by staying silent. I didn't need to ask. I saw it coming. 6 months before I deployed, things started shifting. Not with arguments, but with a slow, creeping, heavy silence. Lauren stopped asking, "How was your day?" No more hugs. She stopped smiling at me over dinner. She'd get annoyed when I called on her girls' night. She told me about Brittany, who divorced her soldier husband to live free, partying every week. She started comparing, saying, "We have nothing in common anymore." I watched her take a call in the kitchen. She erupted in laughter. I only remember. She hadn't laughed like that with me in years. I suggested counseling. She said it was just a phase. Then the changed phone password, new friends. I didn't ask, didn't accuse, I just observed and prepared. She changed the phone password, new friends. I didn't ask, didn't accuse, I just observed and prepared. I moved paperwork, opened a private account. I hid the old silver watch, the only thing I kept from the orphanage. It belonged to an old veteran who taught me. A man doesn't always have to be strong, but he must always be ready. But neither of them knew that was just step one. The real game changer? Not a lawyer, not the police. It was a retired old guy living right next door. Lauren hated risks. She grew up hearing, never gamble. She loved the steady paycheck of a spa manager. And a soldier, no matter how good, is always a bet. But sometimes, the place you think is the safest is the first place to crumble. And the worst part wasn't that they took the money or the house. The absolute worst part was how I found out the truth. It was a single photo, a smile I hadn't seen in years, a week before all this. I'd texted old Mr. McAllister, my neighbor, a divorced veteran, telling him to let me know if he saw anything weird around the house. He was a former reserve cop. Now he just minded his plants and observed everything. I wasn't sure what I was suspicious of, but my marine instinct told me when something feels off, you don't ignore it. I imagined coming back to that house, the place where Scout used to bolt out to greet me every time he heard the door. No quick pause, no barking, no nose bumping my uniform sleeve, just silence, as if the most familiar thing had vanished forever. Scout was the definition of discipline, unconditional loyalty. He only ate, he only left the house if he got the command. Once at the park, a stranger offered him food out of affection. And even though he was hungry, Scout waited for my signal before he'd touch it. I knew Scout didn't run away. No way, not like that. It could only be, I thought back to the house, the place I once considered the safest. Scout used to lie under the dinner table. Just the absence of his paws made everything feel alien. I remembered the day I picked that house. I bought it before I married Lauren. Part of it was savings from my first 3 deployments. The rest was through a VA loan. Small house, 3 bedrooms, less than 30 minutes from Spokane. Since I bought it before the wedding, all the paperwork was just in my name. I nodded. Back then, I just thought, a home is a place to return to. And legally, I had all the rights since I purchased it pre-marriage. But a few months after we got married, I voluntarily added Lauren's name to the title. No one asked me to. I just wanted her to know this was our home. Looking back now, maybe the mistake didn't start when she betrayed me. It started the day I thought love was enough to keep everything intact. One afternoon, I got the text from Mr. McAllister. Nobody wants to get that kind of message, especially when you're still clinging to the tiny hope that maybe it's all just a misunderstanding. He just wrote, "Got a stranger coming and going from your place. Saw him walking a dog that looks like Scout. I took a photo." "Stranger's been coming and going," he wrote. "Saw him walking a dog that looks like Scout. I took a photo." Attached was the photo, some random guy in my old hoodie walking Scout across the front lawn. Through the kitchen window, Lauren was laughing. Right there, where I used to fix the shelves with my calloused hands. That laugh. It was alien and distant, like the expensive new perfume I'd noticed on her toward the end. That image cut through every memory, bringing back her words. That she wanted a different life, the life of a successful civilian who sends flowers on a Tuesday and video calls during lunch. A suffocating truth hit me. I still loved this woman, but now I had to expose everything. I closed the laptop. Not angry, just clarity. I grew up in an orphanage in the mountains. No birthdays. No one ever waited for me. One cold, rainy night when I was 8, a shepherd mix, floppy ears, round eyes, covered in mud, wandered into the yard. I hid him under my bed. That night, I gave him the only piece of cake I was saving for breakfast. I dried his back with a towel, warmed him with my own body. From that day on, Scout never left my side. I begged extra leftovers every afternoon from Mrs. Cook, the kind old cook who always pretended not to see. We grew up together, slept together, went everywhere together. Unconditional loyalty. Losing Scout was losing the last piece of proof that I was worthy of being loved. I didn't ask questions, didn't fight, but inside, I started making moves. 2 weeks after the divorce email, I was eating MREs in the mess hall when I got a bank notification. A huge transaction, $5,000 drained from the joint account, sent to an account I'd never heard of. A week later, another $8,000 vanished. Then another $12,000, balance remaining $500. Everything instantly became crystal clear. I gripped the phone, a cold, sober clarity running down my spine. Now it was just data. That night, I called the bank using a satellite phone. The rep confirmed. The transfers had started picking up speed right after I left the States, from a few hundred to thousands of dollars at a time. I hung up, sitting frozen in the hallway amidst the sounds of other guys calling home. They were laughing, talking to their wives, their kids, and me sitting under the dim red light. I felt like someone had just broken my personal world from behind. Without warning, I could make the money back, but Scout was the one thing I absolutely couldn't lose again. I remember telling Scout the night before I deployed, "I'll never leave you, buddy, no matter what." Back then, I just said it to reassure myself. Now that promise was the only thing I had left. The microchip tracking app pinged a signal at a professional dog training facility about 200 miles from Spokane. I tracked it. Scout had been legally rehomed. The security company said, "This dog is extremely talented." The seller claimed he was unmanageable and legally signed him over. I asked to see the paperwork. There was a contract, a signature from the seller. No full name, just initials. But the handwriting, it was painfully familiar. I didn't react. I just showed them old photos, vaccination records, the chip ID. And one sentence, "He is not for sale." After a few days of tense negotiations and paying all the transfer fees, Scout was back. As he walked out the iron gate, Scout looked up. In a split second, his eyes recognized me. He ran, tugged on my pant leg, an old habit he never forgot. I knelt down, hugged him tight. Didn't say a single word. I didn't need to. Only loyalty remained, pure and intact. He licked my hand. It tasted like sweat and the desert dust. A week after Scout returned, I decided to push the envelope. I broke into the fake company office, the one connected to Mark and Travis. Posing as a network technician, I planted a hidden camera into a power outlet behind the filing cabinet. Everything went smoothly, but as I pulled out of the parking lot, something felt off. A strange car circling. A guy standing by the loading dock, face hidden. I signaled Scout. He understood instantly. He took off in the opposite direction, creating a diversion, a shout behind me. "Stop!" The guy pulled a gun. Scout bolted like the wind, claws scratching furiously on the concrete. The guy chased after him, gun raised. His eyes narrowed. Scout cut sharp, heading toward a chain-link fence. A sharp gunshot cracked the air. His front left leg was hit. Scout's front paws buckled. A whimper caught in his throat. But his eyes were still locked on me, waiting for a command. Then he strained, dragging his wounded leg, slipping under the fence gap. The gunman stopped, exhaling hard. He muttered, "Damn it!" Just a cursed stray dog. Then he turned away. He had no idea. He just shot the only thing still holding Ethan together. The vet emergency room was stark white, smelling faintly of alcohol and wet fur. I sat motionless back against the cold brick wall, clutching Scout's old collar, the metal worn smooth. The doctor said, "He'll live, but that left leg will never fully heal." I nodded. This wasn't about divorce anymore. This was a crime that demanded a price. That night, Maya's phone number called. A cold, strange voice. "Stop digging, or next time Scout won't just be wounded." I looked at Scout. breathing steadily in the recovery room. The threat didn't scare me. It just clarified the enemy. I wrote on a supply box, call Alex, check the loan, emergency leave request, verify all transactions. The counterattack begins. 30 a.m. the next day, I sent the first email. Need urgent legal support. No greeting, no signature, just the signal. Starting a silent counteroffensive. Simultaneously, I dialed Staff Sergeant Becker, my direct supervisor. I need emergency leave. Personal reasons, urgent. A beat of silence. Send the form. I'll sign it. No questions asked. In the field, you understand, sometimes not asking anything is the only way to help. Alex handed me a thick folder. The first page was the home refinance application. Amount $240,000. He looked at me, his eyes steady. I owed you in Mosul. Let me pay it back now. The final signature was mine, but it wasn't my handwriting. The co-signer, Mark, the new boyfriend. Fraud convictions in 2 states. His credit file was red flagged by 2 separate banks. I didn't ask. Wasn't surprised. Didn't need to cross-reference. Everything was clear. Now it was just paper evidence. Alex closed the file, gently sliding it across the table to me. Then he lowered his voice, saying something outside his legal function. You need to work with Maya. Trust me on this. I looked up. His eyes met mine. No pressure, no sales pitch. I sent another teammate there, he said. And he lost more than you did. I nodded. The address was an unmarked used bookstore. My first ally, a small office. Hidden behind the used bookstore. No sign outside. Just a taped piece of paper on the frosted glass door. Veteran support. Walk-ins. Welcome. Alex took me there. Scout came too. When we walked in, he lay down right by my feet, silent, like a non-verbal shield. She was already sitting at the desk. Yellow light, messy stacks of files. She didn't ask how I was, didn't introduce herself. Just a nod, signaling me to sit. I told her, I don't know where to start. She flipped to the first page, highlighted 3 spots, then looked up, then start there. No fuss, no pity, no explanation. Just getting to work. She reminded me of Scout. Quiet, but always knowing exactly what needed to be done. That silence and those eyes that never left the paperwork made her the best soldier I'd ever met in the legal world. Maya pushed the file across. Fake student loan, no legal authorization. This transaction should have never gone through. She pointed at the signature. Identity theft, title fraud. He's done this before, many times. She didn't say much, just took notes. Then she paused. If this is real, you're not the only victim. She told me to call the bank back and confirm the account access history. It wasn't just me. At least 27 other veterans. Same pattern, same money trail. 3 banks, circular transfers, ending with one name, Travis Hale, a broker. He'd co-signed transactions with Mark. Maya pulled a report from her drawer. The FTC Fraud Index, Q3 2023. She pointed to a spike in the chart under military financial abuse. We're not alone. And they got sloppy. She wrapped the documents, put them in a brown envelope, labeled it, enough to start. The label read 27 victims. One pattern. Mark disabled the old security cameras as soon as they moved in. They thought no one was watching. But Ethan had already returned, silently upgrading the entire remote surveillance system. One morning, the camera recorded Lauren and Travis bringing a real estate agent into the house. Travis laughed. He's a soldier. He'll make some noise, then shut up. He looked straight at the hidden camera. Completely clueless, they haggled over a fake closing price of $420,000. Lauren signed the deposit agreement without hesitation. That was all the proof we needed. Maya reviewed the video. Didn't need to watch the whole thing. She just printed out the stills and attached all the documentation. The file title, Charges, Conspiracy to Defraud, Forgery of Valuation and Unauthorized Transaction. She pushed the completed file to Ethan. Inside was every piece of evidence, the audio from the camera, the false appraisal, the deposit receipt, and the fake student loan file. Everything was ready to close the entire fraud ring, send it to the FBI. She didn't elaborate. Just a simple nod. It's time. And then the truth didn't knock gently. It crashed down, bringing everything hidden to light. 42 a.m. A black SUV pulled close to the curb. No sirens, no warning, just a few sharp nods. Then the FBI team dispersed, like they'd done this 1,000 times before. Inside the house, Lauren was in her bathrobe, still holding a coffee spoon. Travis hadn't even finished lacing up his shoes. Mark had just opened the fridge, milk carton in hand. A minute later, cuffs snapped around their wrists. On the table, the fake contract, loan papers with forged signatures, the suspiciously low appraisal. The laptop was still open, halfway through processing a $20,000 transfer to a crypto wallet. Mark was led out first. No fight. Even Travis had to admit, Mark looked like a cornered animal. None of the arrogance of a successful broker left. Travis next, his eyes drained of blood. Lauren stood frozen on the porch steps. She didn't look up. She glanced through the car window. Her eyes met mine. Just for a second, something seemed to shatter in her. But it was too late. Her lips mouthed, "Ethan," but no sound came out. In her eyes was neither love nor hate, just the sheer shock of realizing. My silence was more terrifying than any gunshot. I wasn't there in person. I watched from a distance, behind the glass. Didn't need to say a thing, because this time, the truth spoke for itself. After Mark was taken, the police searched the house. At the bottom of the trash can in the home office, they found a small, crumpled envelope. Inside, a USB taped with handwritten words, "Ethan, be careful." On it were copies of bank transactions, screenshots of conversations between Mark and Travis, and a secretly recorded clip of an argument between Lauren and Mark, where she said, "I don't want to scam him. This is wrong." It seemed she had tried to warn Ethan, but she never sent it, or she never had the courage. Lauren signed the restitution agreement, forfeiting the house and her claim to all shared assets. In exchange, no prosecution, no way out, no more texts, no more emails, just silence, as if she was waiting for me to forget everything. Except once, at midnight, she typed a single line. "Did you ever love me? Even a little?" The ellipsis blinked. She deleted the text. Her finger moved but didn't hit send. In the end, nothing was ever sent. I didn't wait around. I flipped the phone over on the table. Some questions come too late to matter. Now there was just the silence of Montana. Mark got 9 years. Travis, 13 years. I sold the house. I picked Montana, the part of the map that's almost blank. A small log cabin, more than 40 miles from the nearest town. No cell service, just wind, pine, and the steady sound of the creek, constant like breathing. Scout and I work at an animal rescue shelter, training abandoned dogs to become companions for veterans and kids with autism. One of us is the commander. One is the perfect example. No verbal commands needed. We just look at each other and we understand. One fall afternoon, kids from the town came up to play, running through the field, laughing out loud. Scout took off after them, limping but charging hard, even with a limp in those kids' eyes. He was still the fastest thing on that field. That night, Scout slept by the fireplace, sometimes whimpering softly in his sleep, but never leaving my feet. The wind snuck through the window, bringing the smell of resin and dirt, a place no one would ever find me, and a place where no one could ever take anything from me again. I tacked thank you letters from fellow veterans onto the wall, right next to a baby photo of Scout. Every letter was a reminder my fight wasn't just my own anymore. Life was back to normal. I thought the whole nightmare was over, but justice doesn't come with a safety guarantee. And the enemy I had left behind just sent one final message. I don't need anyone to remember my name. I just need one kid somewhere to still believe that doing the right thing is worth it. Late that afternoon, Maya pulled up. No makeup, didn't say anything. She just handed me a pair of leather gloves. It's going to be a cold winter. I pushed the door open. No invitation. No explanation. Just a tilted head. Maya walked in. Scout lifted his head, nudged her leg, then rested his head back on my lap. A closed circle. A silent acceptance. Right then, my phone buzzed once. A strange text popped up. Scout's not running so steady anymore. Will he dodge the bullet this time? Scout looked up. His eyes, still bright as day, without a flicker of fear. He gently rested his wounded front paw on my arm, a chilling reminder of the price we'd already paid. I looked at Maya, then at Scout. No discussion needed. This time we fight together, I whispered. Then I typed back, try me. My silence is what made the traitors freeze at 6:42 a.m. If you believe that loyalty, whether from a soldier or a dog, is worth fighting for, subscribe right now. Join us as we spread justice for thousands of betrayed service members. The next part of the story will reveal the deep personal secrets, the treacherous relationships, and the ugly truth about my marriage. Whose side are you on, Ethan's or Lauren's? And do you think payback truly delivers complete justice? Comment below.